I think corporate landscapes are one of the greatest sort of unrealized potential areas for conservation in America. 100 acres around one corporation that's just mowed 5, 10 times a year. There could be something that's natural, healthy, biodiverse, easy to maintain. It could be in strips between adjacent factories. It could be along highways. There's just so much more potential we can be doing. And I think you can drive in anywhere USA and see those opportunities left and right. I think that would show amazing leadership to other corporations around the United States and around the world about how you can actually have beautiful, healthy, inspiring landscapes right outside your office window that are functioning as they should for biodiversity.
Solar seems like such a simple technology, but there's actually a lot of complexity behind those elegant panels. What is the unseen data story behind rooftop solar?
Wow, that is such a great question because sometimes so many people say that solar, what do you need software for? You just slap them on the roof? Well, the reality of the matter is it's not that simple. So what we'll do is ingest data and put it in a machine learning pipeline that allows us to basically automatically generate a 3D model and a solar installation. And none of that would be possible without having powerful data centers that basically form the backbone of the digital economy.
Running a company with my mom to me was always gonna be fun. She's not your typical grandma. She's tough. Careful. She was world judo champion, and she will still take you down. And then there's Dennis, my mom's husband, our other co-founder. He's a little bit more mellow, keeps it a little more balanced.
When I mentioned to Anne Maria that I was thinking that I could take early retirement, she said, well, that would be perfect because I have this idea for doing educational games. And so I kind of got drafted into it.
7th Generation Games makes games and the tools to make them.
First, let's get rid of that.
And we focus on serving any community.
Initially, we started focused on closing the math gap in rural, underserved communities.
For so many kids, they start school, they're all excited about it, and they run into barriers. And if we can just intervene just a little bit and change that trajectory until they think, oh yeah, I could get decimals and fractions. There's no way to change somebody's life more in a positive way than to give them a good education.
I mean, you talk about how do we get kids engaged, make it relevant, make it feel like it applies to their life.
I get really mad when people tell me, oh, well, I don't think that kids in rural communities are interested in this, or every place has internet. And I tell them, I have driven down more dirt roads in this country than you know exist.
This is how we...
You can't understand a place unless you have been there.
I mean, that's really powerful. So if you put your ideas down on it, when they see someone who looks like them reflected the very first time on their device.
You went ice fishing before?
They deserve high-quality educational games that run on their devices.
Maybe you could even drill the holes, as part of the game, like you drill the holes.
And that's why Android has been a really big part of what we do. Because most of the communities we're in, that's the devices that they have. And so for us, it's really important to make sure that we can reach kids where they are so that they can play our games.
Our success statistically is that kids actually improve their math scores. The kids who played the games improved 30%. The kids who didn't in the same community improved 10%. So 3 times as much. Intellectually, it's a great game.
And it's really important that our games on Google Play provide access to those cultures, insights into those communities. When I'm working with kids, I tell them, this is your opportunity to control the narrative around your community. You get to tell your story to the world.
I was always drawn to the string instruments. I felt like they were really pretty to hear. I know that I do need to put a little bit of extra work into playing the viola, but it makes me feel good to know that I'm able to produce music, particularly whenever I'm playing in an orchestra. That's a really special experience. I was first diagnosed with hearing loss when I was about 4 years old. I was in kindergarten and I failed a routine hearing test. As a result, I was fitted for a pair of hearing aids. My teacher would wear a microphone during class that would amplify the teacher's voice for myself. There are currently estimated to be about 466 million people in this world who are deaf and hard of hearing, and that number is growing, and it's expected to actually reach 700 million by the year 2050. All of this drew me into the technology field and had me thinking about ways in which I could be involved myself in improving the lives of people with disabilities and developing the next generation of technologies that can have a positive impact on people's lives like myself. I joined Google in 2016. That provided me with more opportunities to get to apply software engineering towards problems that could potentially benefit millions of people if solved correctly. But there were a couple of experiences where I would go to meetings and it was sometimes a little bit harder for me to follow along, especially if I didn't request any manual captioning ahead of time. This experience inspired my coworker Abigail and I to develop automatic closed captions in Google Slides. So how does captions for Google Slides work? It's pretty simple. Whenever somebody is giving a presentation in Google Slides, they just need to click a button to turn on captions. The computer will use its microphone input to pick up what you as the presenter are saying, and it'll stream captions to the screen so that members of the audience who are deaf or hard of hearing can read along with a written transcript of what's being said. But that doesn't mean that it's not something that can make the experience better for everybody. With captions, they can also be beneficial to people who are in the back of the room or people who are struggling with poor audio quality. There's just so many different use cases.
Fashion has been a big influence in my life because I just love the creative side. I love how it shows people's differences. It's been a way that I've been able to break down barriers and conversations around my own disability and identity and who I am. It wasn't until I was about 2.5 when I started speaking differently and not saying the same word correctly that my parents noticed there might be something going on. So I was testing it. I had severe hearing loss and I've worn hearing aids since I was 3. I've spent most of my life adapting and looking at ways how technology can help people with disabilities communicate better in the world and really working towards breaking those barriers down so people can have the tools that they need to communicate. It's something I struggled with for many years. The live transcribe technology, which is transcribing the conversation in real time on your phone, allows me or anyone with any kind of hearing disability or in a moment where you're not able to capture all the sound that you need to in the conversation, you just stay engaged and connected, but also can be very powerful in someone speaks a different language. You can transcribe that. It connects people in ways that maybe they wouldn't have been able to without it. You should always be thinking about how technology can help benefit someone and how it's helping someone move forward in their life, pursue a passion that's important to them. How is that changing people's perceptions of disability and not having it be a negative thing? When you look at the billion people with disabilities and the people that you connect with, your friends and family that are touched with disability in some way, the number is actually 8 billion. And so it's really important that we're thinking about, again, like, what are we doing to help take that experience and that knowledge and include that in the innovation and looking at where are the barriers in the world for disabled people and removing them. There's so many different identities to who someone is, right? There's so many more things about them. Disability is one part. You're seeing that disabled people are incredible problem solvers and thinkers, and so they're really powerful in the ways of innovation.
it's ever more important that we as a society are thinking about challenges that might present to people who are deaf and hard of hearing and thinking about how we can address those and make their experiences as seamless as possible.
Disability as a positive or powerful part of who you are, not something you're trying to hide. Technology, when it's doing the right thing, is doing exactly that.
Every year, humanity creates a staggering amount of plastic waste. And every year, the vast majority of that gets left in landfills, or the oceans, or our communities. But what can be done? We live in a world packaged up for our convenience. Even when people want to make the right choice, it's usually nowhere to be found. But, you know, we've accomplished some pretty amazing things when we work together. That's why we're launching the Single-Use Plastics Challenge. Google is calling on visionary companies to help us shift our food operations towards reusable and sustainable solutions. Eliminating single-use plastics from food packaging won't be easy, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. The only way we're guaranteed to fail is if we do nothing at all. To join the Single-Use Plastics Challenge, visit sustainability.google.